Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. A new major update has been released, and along with it, a brand new DLC pack. And as per usual, that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I won't be going over the stuff that was added for the base game, but I will do a video later on, just showing off the weapons and what they can do, and of course, testing them against some of my target dummies in the distance, wherever they've gone. There they are. For today, we are looking at the blocks included in the Warfare 2 DLC packs. Yes, without further ado, we'll just come all the way over to here and we'll start things off with the large and small Warfare Ion Thrusters, which are a very nice addition to the game, because the Ion Thrusters were a bit lackluster compared to the reskinned Atmospheric and Hydrogen. For these ones all the way over here, they function identically to the base game ones. As per usual, they're just simple reskins, and they do look fantastic. If you were to look at this one at the very front while laying on the side, that is what we get. We've got a lovely bunch of blue glows coming out the middle on each of the corners. And if we were to move all the way around the side, that is what that looks like. Coming around towards the back of this model, that's what we get right there. And all the way on the top, some fantastic detail. And then of course for the thruster right next to it, it's the exact same one except it's standing up on its end. And that is what we get. If we were to move across to the smaller versions for the large block grid, we will come to the small block grid later on, but that'll be towards the end of the video. This is what we get for these ones. So they look a lot different from the other ones, and they have been made in a way that they're sort of modular, so you can just slap these together, put some corner blocks in the middle, and try to make your ship design look amazing. So if we were to take a close look at this one all the way over here, we're going to come past these little fins on the side to get a better look on the middle there. There we go. It is currently shooting out because I put the thruster override to the maximum. So you can see there a little bit of black on the edge of that blue, which should look rather fancy while in space. If we were to move around the side, there's not going to be too much to talk about. They are quite plain, which is nice to see, so they will fit quite nicely on a small block ship if you were to leave them exposed on the sides there, because they should merge in with the rest of the steel blocks all the way around it and look quite nice. Yes, around to the back there we do have a little ventite system right here. Then around towards the very back there we still got some nice detail that you wouldn't normally see. Coming across over to this one, this is simply like the large one, it's just sitting on its side. And there we go. So that's just it on the side. We can see behind it a lovely amount of little grids where the little effect is going to come shooting out. Anyway, grabbing hold of my character, we'll come past these thrusters and move all the way across to my personal favourite of this pack, the large and small Warfare Reactors. Yes, so they do come in a small block size. Like I said, they'll be at the end of the video down the way. But this is what we get for the large reactor. It looks absolutely stunning compared to the standard reactor, which is just like a ball with connectors on the side of it. But look at this, we can just walk all the way up these steps, we've got safety rails all the way around the edge, and some more steps around towards the back to get all the way down. The panel up here, we can just come up to it and fiddle around with it. We can even use this as an access point for the rest of the grid, and we can also customize the screen if you want to, depending on what you want to do. If we were to move around the edge of this model, one hell of a lot of detail, and then towards the back, surprisingly, there's even more. So there's our conveyor port at the back there to pump in uranium. And right below it is this little part right here. We've got like a screen, a window in front of a bunch of little buttons that we could press that do look rather tantalizingly, well, like you could just press it and maybe make the reactor go critical. If I was to bring the free camera over, I'll try and zoom all the way in on that. All the way like so, put the light on. There you go, you can sort of see behind that glass piece out the panel 1, panel 2 and all the knobs that you could potentially play with. If it was to move all the way up, past that conveyor port, all the way to the top, we've got another one, as well as some more nice detail right here with the pipes moving across. And at the top there, we've got some more vents, which are purely there for decoration. And of course, all the way down and underneath, we've got another port, in case you want to hide it and have it come underneath your base, or through the bottom of your ship. Coming over to the smaller version on this side, we've got a conveyor port at the very back that you can see right there. But at the front, this is what we get. It's quite reflective, so it is quite hard to see. In fact, I'll bring the free camera over once again, we'll just shove it through the glass. You can see a bunch of coils along the bottom right here. We can see some green knobbly parts sticking out, which I like to believe are the uranium tubes that'll go into it. Yes, I've got a lovely green glow. Out top there, we've got a few more pipes. And it does look fantastic with how great it looks compared to the base game one. I think that's the best part about this pack, is there's so much of it that just looks better than the base game versions. Yes, all the way at the top, and then all the way at the bottom. At the bottom, we're going to have another conveyor port, like the large reactor, in case you want to hide it and make it go off into a wall, so you can have this standing proudly in the center of your base. Coming across all the way over to this one, these are the Warfare hangar doors, and we get 3 different variations of them, where this one is the regular hangar door, with the vanilla hangar door right next to it. So with this one, it's very much like the blast door blocks, where it's quite a plain side, and we've got a hazard strip along the top there, which would be coming towards the floor, but for showcase purposes, I put it this way up. If you were to look at it on the side here, this is what we get. Then all the way around towards the very back, it's going to be the exact same. Running all the way across over to the second one, this is going to be the Warfare hangar door with a window. So it's basically the same as the first one, it's got a bit more detail on it, but we also have these windows all the way at the top. So if you were to say, walking along over through your base, you can take a sneaky little peek through this window, see what's going on there before you open it up and potentially put yourself in danger. We'll just come all the way back down, like so, and of course for comparison's sake, there is the vanilla one right next to it. And then the next one is the hangar door version 2. So this one is basically the same as the first one, but it's got a bit more detail at the top here, with like these little grooves going along the middle, and once again our hazard strip along the bottom. So there we go. And we'll also quickly come all the way across over to here, we'll just hop into this, bring the free camera over to the hangar doors, we'll position the camera like so, and then we'll press this, and this is how they retract all the way down. So nothing too special with it, it's the exact same, but it does look very neat compared to the old one, because the old one does have a lot of detail on there, makes it quite hard to hide in a base or in a ship, but these ones look like they could go very well with the interior walls. Yes, that's that, we'll make them come all the way up once again. And there we go. She's coming all the way over and around to this section right here. These are the bridge windows. They come in 2 parts, where we've got a diagonal and then a corner part. This is just being set up as an example of how you could do it, but all the way around to here are the individual blocks. So here is the slant, got a little nubbly part right at the bottom there for you to hook it onto something, and then we've got the exact same setup with the corner window right here. We've got the little nubbly part at the top, and there is the window. And yes, just using the half blocks right here, this is how it sits. It is a little bit lower than the half blocks, so we will have this little lip, but we can walk up to it quite nicely, so it's not too much of a problem at the end of the day. Yes, there we go with that. And we were to come all the way across over to this one, these are the light panels, which are quite nice if you are building a disco floor, and you don't want to use, say, multicolored blocks. So they work exactly the same as regular lights. You've got the usual controls. We've got to come into here and find our lights. There they are. We can now change the color of them if we wanted to. So there's the one in the background. We've got our radius, our fall off, intensity, and all of that. If we want to change it to a nighttime, so coming into here and making it nighttime, there we go. That's the glow they give with quite high intensity. And you can see the small one all the way over there. So we just change this back to daytime once again. There we go, nice and bright. We'll move across over to this one right here, which is the Helm. I really like this block. And if you remember back, I did do a video on a mod that was basically this, but this is a very small steering wheel for you to stand up and go over to. Just walking around like so. That is all it is. We just come up to it, we press F, bring the free camera back over, and that's how we stand right next to it. We put our hand on the little lever, and the other hand is holding onto the safety rail for dear life, because you're going to make some crazy designs with this, like a hover trolley, or even just a small land vehicle where you don't want to use a cockpit, because it's going to take up a lot of room. But yes, in first person view and looking down, this is what we get, a rather impressive array of buttons that we could potentially press, little things to move up and down, the little joystick to move things around, and we've got a big red button, which I like to believe is the power button. Yes, we've got our standard LCD screens, we've got our meters per second, and of course our hydrogen and power usage. Then all the way over to here, we've got a big lever, which would be like your throttle control. Once we press I and come into here, we'll find the Helm in the menu. We've got once again our general settings. We can change this to the LCD screens and what we want to do with them, have our little script or have an image, change of course the color of the screens if you wanted to, and there is a background. There we go. Yes, we'll just come out of that. We'll crouch down and get a better look at this. So there we are, we see some wires coming across. We've got a little panel right there to put the ends of your feet onto. Then around to the opposite side. There we go, we've got like RGB jacks to go in there, and we've got some lights on the side, which is quite nice, and they do glow in the darkness, so they do emit a little bit of light. There we go, you sort of see them glowing right there, and back we come. A very nice block, and I can't wait to see what you create out of this thing. Yes, coming across all the way over to here, one of the more slightly confusing blocks to get working. They're a little bit iffy, but these are the heat vents. So what these blocks do is that they'll display a color through these little flaps, depending on what your power situation is. Are you at maximum load? Are you at minimum load? And they'll change their color depending. And once they're turned off, if you turn them on, the flaps at the front will open and close. So if we were to come all the way down like so, then open this up, you can probably still see them all the way up to here. We'll find our heat vents, and we'll just turn them off. There we go. The flaps are now closed. You can't see any light because the light is now turned off. Then if we were to come all the way back over to here and then just hit that, find our heat vents once again and turn them back on, and they'll just open up and release the colored light. The customization in here is the color at minimum load, so we can change that if we wanted to, and then the maximum load, we can of course change that to different colors. We once again got our general light controls of our radius, fall off, intensity, and all of that, so you can do whatever with that. And of course we can change this to nighttime once again when we can see it glowing. So you could always set this up with a sensor block where you could walk up to it in your reactor room and then they'll flick open and show you the power situation, so you don't have to go up to an LCD screen, you don't have to use a script, you can simply look at this block and be like, right, everything's fine, and away you go. Then on to the next one, which is a very nice block, and it's called the Searchlight. So it's basically a spotlight that's sitting on a rotor that'll spin around, move up and down, well it's like a rotor and hinge combined together with a spotlight, and it's just a nifty little thing. There is no vanilla alternative to this unless you were to get creative with a rotor and hinge, which I think is okay. You don't really need something like this in general purpose gameplay unless you're using a very dark mod, but then again you would just set up a rotor and hinge to do the same stuff. So as you can see, it is just rotating around by itself, just moving the light around, which is very nice to see. You can change the setting to make it stop doing that, but I personally like it because it does add a bit more life to the block. So if I was to put my light on like so and get a bit closer to this, you can see one hell of a lot of detail on this. If we were to come across, we then got a lovely little, almost like a fish lens on there. You might be able to make it out like so while it's moving around, going all the way across. If I was just to make it sit still, we're coming to here, find our searchlight, and I'll just disable the idle movement. While it's like that, we can bring the free camera all the way over, get a better look at this. There is the actual searchlight itself shooting out the white light. On the inside here, this is what we get. If they were to drop all the way down, that's the detail on the side, and then towards the base. There we go. If it was just to drop down and come underneath, there we are. And then around towards the back, a nice lot of detail. So if we were to come back into this character and go through the settings it had, so in here we then got a aiming radius where we can make this target different stuff. So if you want to, we can go and say make this target characters on, we'll just turn off all of them. And then I'll give this block to the space pirates, there we go. And now as you can see, it's just going to follow me all the way around, so you can use this to actually search for people, which is really nice stuff. So I can just fly around with jetpack, the turret's going to do its best job just to follow me around. It is quite slow, so it's not going to be instantly snapping to you, so you do have a chance of actually outrunning this. But on the bottom of a ship, if you were searching for an enemy who's trying to hide in a tree or something, it could be a lot of fun to actually use it. There we go, we'll just make it go all the way up. And then all the way down. There we go, some jolly good stuff with that light. Then if we were to move across all the way over to here, we're almost done with the large blocks. This is the Warfare battery. It's just a rather fancy battery that puts the vanilla battery to shame. So we have to bring the light back around because it is getting a bit shadowy on this side. There we go, that will have to do. We once again got our 4 green bars that will determine the charge of the battery. Then we've got a lovely grey exterior with some warning labels. We've got a little vent over there, our access panel. Then around onto the side, some more great detail, and that light is still following me. Then around towards the back, there we go. Where to come all the way up and above, that's what we get. And it does suit the theme of the rest of the DLC pack. It does fit in quite nicely if you were to hide it in between, say, the reactors, or even just to use it above the hangar doors in the distance. And I believe it is starting to get a little bit foggy over here. I'm pretty sure I disabled the weather, not sure why that started up. There we go, that'll be a bit better. All the way over to here, because there's not too much else to talk about on that battery, these are the sliding hatch doors. So this is the standard one where if you were to come all the way around onto the side there, we can see it is 1 block thick. And then around towards the back is basically like a regular door. We've got another doorway on that side because when we click it, it's going to move all the way across to the side. Very neat stuff. Yes, we can just click that. And there we go. We even have a little window on here so you can sort of peer through there to make sure nothing bad is waiting for you on the opposite side. We've got our little imaginary turning wheel where we'd lock it in place, but sadly you can't actually interact with it. So just open it up once again, take a look on the side, and there we go. We simply mouse over to it. It's very forgiving on the hitbox of that. There we go. If we were to move across all the way over to here, this, if I can find my sign, is the half sliding hatch door. So this is going to be very similar to that one, except if we were to come onto the side, it's a lot thinner. There we are with that one, and there we are with that one. So it's going to function the exact same, apart from we're going to still have that one big block on the side there for the door to retract into. And yes, that's all we get. So if you were to fly all the way over to here, the spotlight is still going to follow me all the way over to this section. These are the small block versions where a lot of them are going to be the same as the ones we just saw, but there are a few unique ones that can only be used on a small block. So we're going to come all the way over to here, and it's going to be the passenger bench. So this is exclusively for these small block ships, to have a more compact seating for drop ships or any kind of transport ships, or even to use on a small block base. So if we were to crouch, in fact, I won't crouch next to it, we're going to come over to here. This is the size of the seats compared to the character. It's a lot smaller than I was expecting when I saw it on the DLC page. Yes, we now just crouch into that. That's what we get. In fact, it's not very good. I'll just bring the free camera all the way over. That is what we get, is a rather small seat, where that's what you want when you want to compact as many people into a small place as possible. If we were to move around the side and onto the back, and that's what we get. And if we were to line them all together, this is what you get. They clip very nicely together, so you can make a little airport station out of small blocks if you wanted to. If we were to look down, there we go, we do have a gap between them, so there's no clipping whatsoever. And getting a bit closer, there is a surprising amount of detail on these chairs that actually make them look like proper seats. There we go with that one. Just grabbing hold of my character once again, which is hop out of this, move it all the way across over to here. These are the reskinned weapons. Yes, these are fantastic with their designs. So right next to it is our Gatling gun, where if we was to say find the actual Gatling gun in here and just drop it down next to it. And then we'll bring the light back around once again. There we are. That is the comparison with them. It is slightly longer and it does look a bit more impressive. That one just looks like a regular minigun. This one looks like a proper small fighter Gatling gun. And yes, it does look even more impressive when we fire it, which will be in just a moment. Right next to it is the rocket launcher, which I do love compared to the standard rocket launcher. See if I can actually spell correctly. Here we go with the small one right next to it. We'll put it right there. That'll do nicely. They are the exact same size, but we've got these lovely little parts where it looks like you'll actually load the missiles into the back and then they'll be fired out. We've also got a nice lot of detail along the side here. Then coming towards the front there. There we go. If I was to bring the free camera so we can actually get a better look at the front there. All the way over there. In fact, my character can now just bugger off a little bit. There we go. And that's what we get. So that's the vanilla barrel, and that is the DLC barrel. And then, of course, for the Gatling guns, there we go. That's what we get. And yes, like I said, they do look absolutely fantastic. And around towards the back. There we go. I do love this part. This part really gets me. Just the shiniest of those little capsules at the back there. Yes, they do look rather great. Anyway, we'll come back to firing them in just a second when we get over to the small helm. Next to this is, well, the small spotlight. Don't really need to explain it, it's just a very diddly little spotlight, which is just like a 1x1 block. It has the exact same stuff going on with it, so we've got that little fish lens glass on the front of it, and it will just spin around and do the exact same stuff. Over to here is the small block battery, which is different compared to the large one. It's slightly more compact, we lose a lot of detail. If we were to move all around onto the side, we only have one side where it's got the 4 little green things. If I was to bring the free camera all the way over and drop down, there we go. So yes, it's only on the very back do we get the green little labels, which is quite nice. Sometimes you don't want them to have them showing, sometimes you want to just litter the wall, and you don't want to have all that green lighting coming off the batteries. So this is a very nice alternative if you did want to have it standing on its side. So that's going to be like the one over to here. We can have it standing like so. You don't see any kind of light coming off it. It's just a very nice thing to have compared to the standard battery. If we have to come like this, put it on its side, you can see there we've got our lights on pretty much all sides apart from the top and the bottom. So it just makes a nice alternative if you don't want those green lights. Coming across all the way over here, I won't use my character for this, but this is just a small diddy version of the heat vent, which works in the exact same way. All the way around it. There we go. so I won't go explaining what that does. Over to here, it's simply a small block Helm. Once again, it is very, very similar. All the way over to here, that's what we get. And I'll just bring the character all the way over and we'll just stand next to it, bring the free camera. That is what we look like while standing on it. It's pretty much the same. And yes, we'll just now go and fire our two guns over here. So for the Gatling gun, that's what that looks like when it starts up. It just spins around and shoots like the regular Gatling gun. And that's just how it spins around. For the rocket launcher, again, nothing too special. It just shoots out the missiles, get a little bit of smoke coming out the back. There we go. It does seem like we do have an updated sound effect. That seems very, very different. In fact, we'll just compare that right now because I didn't recognize that when I was testing stuff. Let's just go and shoot this on and off. It's the exact same, and I just blew up the poor little bridge windows. That is the Gatling guns, and that is the Helm. All the way over to here is the small light panel, which, well, I'm not going to go through. It's just a 1x1 block. Well, to say find an actual block itself. No, I don't want to play rock, paper, scissors with the light block. Yes, we'll just find the armored block. Sitting up right next to it. Just going to get rid of that one. And it functions the exact same way. So it's the same as an LCD screen, but it emits light. Over to this one, these are the large and small reactors, which are very different compared to the large blocks. We lose a lot of the fancy glass, we lose a lot of fancy wires, and all the walk around parts. Instead, we get this. So all these little green tubes that come out the side, and that's going to be the same all the way around the edge, but to come all the way up to the top. We've got a small conveyor point on the top and the bottom. Then the small one is basically very similar to the large one right next to it, but on a much smaller scale. So there we go, it's rather adorable. And all the way over here, these are the small block versions of the large ion thrusters, where they're basically the same, just scaled a lot down, and two of these are on thruster override, and once again, you can see that black effect emanating from the blue stuff when it's thrusting at its maximum. So we'll just come around towards the very back there. And there is this large one, all the way around. And there we go. Some lovely blocks with this pack. I think this is one of the best packs I've released in a long time. There's a lot of stuff in here which can be put to very good use. It mixes very well with the other DLC packs and also updates a lot of the older stuff which isn't too great in this day and age. Like the Reactor block right here, I really dislike this Reactor block. It's a very ugly block, but this DLC pack solves it quite nicely with this. This is a very nice block to have. It's almost like a centerpiece in a power room. But yes, that is all the blocks we get in the DLC pack. The other stuff we get is a emote, a helmet, and this texture in the back. So all the way over to here and pressing P, coming down to here, this is the Woodland Camo. So instead of using the digital camouflage, you can have now a proper camo, and this is what it looks like in different colors. So coming all the way up to this and getting a bit closer, that is the detail we get. Some very nice resolution on that DLC skin pack. And those are the different colors we get. Around the side, there we go. If was just to change this into a different color, let's just go, let's say all black. There we go, we'll just go and, no, I don't want to wave to people. There we go. That's it in all black. So we do get some white patches on there. If we were to change it all to white, you sort of lose a lot of detail, but it's still there, which is quite nice to see. So it is compatible with pretty much all the colors, unlike a few skin packs, which do tend to lose stuff when you use black or use white. They sort of just merge and just become a plain block. There we go with that. We'll just do one more. We'll just make it a red color. And that's what we get. Yes, as for one of the last things, it's going to be the helmet. So I think I've got it equipped. Yes, I do. I've got this medical bay here just in case I didn't. So as I bring the free camera all the way over to here, we'll get a better look at this. It's only the helmet, which is a little sad. I was expecting a whole suit, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because I usually just stick to like the glamour skin or the leopard skin, but you might have a different opinion on that. But as for the helmet itself, this is what we get. We've got some eyes on the side where our little light shoots out. We've got some teeth around the edge of the mask. Let's just to open up that. There we go, you can see the guy's face. Not much going on the inside. And then around towards the back, they've got like little bolts along the side of where the armored plate's been all put together. And then the actual final part of this DLC pack is something rather amusing, is a RNG emote. Yes, we got a rock, paper, scissors emote. If we were to press that, you'll do the rock, paper, scissors, and then you'll reveal it. And I got paper this time. Come all around and get a better look at that. Go back to the idle, we'll do it once again. And we should get a different one this time. There we go, we've got rock. And then once he's back to his idle, there we go, we'll do it one more time. Hopefully we'll get scissors. Unfortunately, we got rock again, so we'll just do it again. You can sort of spam the emote and it does get a little wonky. So yes, that is pretty much it for what the DLC pack has to offer. We've got a nice sort of stuff in here, a nice sort of reskins. I am very happy with the Ion Thruster skins, because the old ones do look quite bad in comparison to the other DLC Thruster skins. And in Reactor, this thing is absolutely incredible to look at. So is it worth buying at the end of the day? I certainly think it is. It has a nice lot of blocks on here that you can play around with, a nice lot of stuff that can replace a lot of the old blocks and make your base, make your ship look a lot better. And yes, you can get a lot of use out of all this stuff, especially these. These are quite a novel stuff. I wasn't too keen on these at first, but being you can just have a sensor block set up, make them turn on and off so you can get a at-a-glance stuff, which would be quite nice if you are taking a more minimalist approach into one of use scripts. And of course, this thing over here, I expect to see a lot of hover trolleys strapped with rail guns. Yes, that could be quite an amusing little thing. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. And I'll be back with another one, hopefully testing out the guns some point soon. Bye bye.